What are the best consulting firms in the world? It's like asking what the best countries are in the world. There are a lot of different factors that play into who the best are, why they're the best, or why people would match up with certain firms for certain things. So we're today going to talk about what we would consider to be the world's top consulting firms, why they're considered to be the top consulting firms. And we're going to talk about it both from a client perspective, why they're usually hired by top companies to solve top problems. And we're also going to talk about it from a talent perspective. I'm going to break the world's consulting firms into three main groups. Number one, the MBB firms, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. Number two, the big four firms, Deloitte, PwC, EY, and KPMG. And finally, all the rest of the firms, what we call tier two or boutique firms. Inside there are micro tiers that I'll also talk about today. If you are interested in great content like this, subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you're going to get first access to all of the top content that we've got coming out. Let's jump into the MBB firms. The MBB firms, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG, are generally considered the world's top consulting firms. They're considered the top for a couple of main reasons. Number one, they work with the top CEOs of the top companies of the world, the top companies by revenue, the top brands, and they help them solve their top three strategic challenges: growth and cost-oriented challenges. So when you marry all of that up together, that's a lot of top. And so those firms are generally considered to be the best consulting firms because they're granted access to the world's biggest challenges and one of the major areas of hope and change. Because the MBB firms are granted access to the top companies, their top challenges, and they're generally able to command top prices for the work that they do at those organizations, they also have access to staff those projects with the top consultants in the world, sourced from the top universities and the top business schools. So sourcing talent is a big part of making sure that they're able to deliver the services, but having these privileged projects is a big process to be able to source the talent that they're also looking for. A lot of the talent that goes to a McKinsey, Bain, or BCG goes there because of professional development, which includes being able to make an impact and change in the world's most influential organizations. McKinsey, Bain, and BCG, worldwide, generally unparalleled in their expertise. Now, interestingly, McKinsey, Bain, and BCG are smaller than the big four firms, which are another tier of consulting firms. In fact, McKinsey has only 30,000 people, where the big four firms globally, not just their consulting practice, but in total, have over 200,000 employees. And so those very large organizations have greater difficulty in maintaining the same kind of brand presence, strength, and focus that the MBB firms do. But that doesn't mean that they're not really strong in consulting. In fact, for most of the big four firms, consulting is the primary revenue driver of the firm. In addition, consulting is usually a higher margin business for them than audit or than tax, which means that consulting is the darling right now of the big four firms. Now, while they can't generally compete with prestige, they are able to compete with longevity. They often do much more implementation-focused processes. They're able to compete in technology. They're able to build out these very deep expertise practices in things that are niche, things that are specific to AI for supply chain in specific industries. So for example, PwC, its strategy operations division is called Strategy and. For EY, their group that they acquired in 2014 is called EY Parthenon. So make sure that if you're looking at the big four firms, you look specifically at the top firms as well as some of their niche strategy departments if you're interested in consulting. That boutique within a boutique kind of practice is able to win the big four a lot of business and keep them among the world's top consulting firms. What about the rest of the firms that are out there? Well, our third tier we consider to be tier two or boutique consulting firms. Now, certainly there are firms that are generally recognized to be the top of the boutiques, but this is a pretty wide swath. I'll give you a couple of examples, by no means exhaustive. For example, Oliver Wyman is a great firm in this space. Oliver Wyman traditionally grew up as a financial services firm, expanded out beyond that, and is now regarded as quite a strong strategy house. It's a really good firm, But it's not necessarily considered to be on tier in terms of billing or in terms of the strategy and projects of an MBB firm. OC&C is another firm based in London. They have a really tremendous culture, less travel than the MBB firms, but they really do focus on strategy. You've got Kearney, an amazing company that's focused on their supply chain issues and supply chain regulation. And supply chain focus has enabled them to compete with MBB and Big Four firms and really grow into a large, prestigious organization. On top of these firms, there are thousands of other ones, but let me just mention a few more. LEK, Booz Allen, Accenture. Some of these are very large organizations, super focused on key niche areas. In addition, you've got Clearview Healthcare Partners. You've got Alex Partners. You even have Alvarez and Marcel. You've got transactions and healthcare and advisory work. I mean, really, really broad experience, tremendous training, incredible career opportunities for you if you're interested in the intersection between data, strategy, and operations for any of these organizations. Boutique firms and tier 2 firms like the ones that I mentioned, and there are more, thousands more of remarkable firms. They pay well, they offer tremendous training, great benefits. They're incredible places to look if you're thinking about a new career. Those firms are built to specifically compete against the MBB and the Big Four firms in specific niche ways. They either pick an industry or they pick a practice area or both. They're generally not diversified firms in the same way that the top 3 and the Big Four are. Now that we've walked through the world's top consulting firms and you've got a sense of how we view what the best consulting firms look like, you should head over to our consulting firm directory. This firm directory will give you an amazing view of some of the top firms in the world, their talent, and even their salaries. We'll tell you where you can work, how you can work, what kinds of projects you can work on. It's a resource that's available completely for free at our website, managementconsulted.com. And if you've got specific questions about a firm, write us. We've got perspective, and we are always committed to telling the truth and finding you a great fit for your career. If you're one of the top consulting firms in the world, whether you are a top consulting firm in an industry, in a region, or overall, we would love to get your message in front of potential clients as well as potential talent. So please reach out to us directly, team@managementconsulted.com, or you can find contact forms directly on our website, and you can reach us through our social channels. Thanks so much for listening.